Hi everybody, we're now at the end of week 4 of lockdown, and just over the last few weeks I've tried to capture some of the key themes that were coming out of the conversations that we're having with housing professionals across the UK. I'm now in my new home working environment, as you can see, and in this video I wanted to do something a little bit different because I'm here to discuss the impact that this pandemic and the lockdown environment is having on people's mental health and well-being. To help me explore this issue, I've invited along Barry Allard, who is a leadership and wellbeing coach. He and I have been working together for just over a year now. He's been a big influence on me to help me make a number of really positive changes in my life and perform at a much higher level. And I thought it'd be a good idea to invite him along to the conversation to give us a few tips and a few words of advice to help us get through this difficult time, but also to help us prepare for whatever the new normal may look like. You'll be able to find a link to Barry's website and Twitter handle at the end of the video, where we'll be able to access some really useful tips. We hope you enjoy the conversation.
Hi Dan, yeah, I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, very well, thank you. So where are you experiencing this lockdown at the moment?
Well, I'm in a very privileged position. I feel that in lockdown, in that I've been able to come out to Sweden, in rural Sweden. When lockdown was just about to come into full play in London, we decided there's a chance to get out and escape, because my partner's family live here, so we're able to get into nature and be in lockdown here.
Good stuff. Well, lucky you. I'm in my new office environment with, which is also a nail technician room. Lucky me.
You're going to take on a new role as a nail technician after this, Dan?
I think so. As a starter, Barry, it'd be good just to hear from you, just to give a bit of an introduction to some of the work you're involved with, Barry. Do you want to give us a flavour of that?
Yeah, I work as a leadership and wellbeing coach as well as a consultant. So I help organisations and leaders make their organisations a great place to work, working one-to-one with people and working with teams and organisations as a whole. And a lot of my work is steeped in well-being being the sort of grounding place to start from individual well-being to staff well-being, and to work from that place upwards.
I think right now within this lockdown environment, there's a big human element to this. There are a lot of people struggling, and there is a real impact that this pandemic's having on people's mental health and well-being. And I'd just like to start by getting your views on what sort of impact you feel it is having, and what kind of examples you're seeing out there.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, in that I've been thinking about it a lot, like what impact is this having and what impact will it have long term? And I think it's quite difficult to answer that, the second question there about what impact it will have, but it is definitely having an impact. And I think as we're going now into the sort of second phase, or the end of the beginning, now is the challenging time for people where they've been in lockdown for a period of time. So building routines or healthy habits is so important. And I think we're kind of redesigning our habits and our new way of life. So of course that has an impact. It brings up fear, it brings up emotions. And I know for myself, the first couple of weeks and still now, I'm feeling anxiety in my chest. I'm dreaming a lot. And so it's like, what sort of things can I do to help myself at this time? What new habits, or what habits have I done in the past that can help me? Or what habits have I got currently, what I need to keep in place? What structure do I need to keep in place at this time to really support myself and those around me?
And I think this is the time to really start analysing that and really thinking about that, because I agree with you. If you think about the first phase, it was very high energy, very intense. People were in crisis management mode almost. And I think now we're in this second phase, which is much more a realization that this is fundamentally going to change how we work. And it's people trying to find their new normal and feel comfortable with that, and actually start thinking about how to get good at it. But there's a lot of uncertainty about what it's going to look like when we re-engage back into the workplace. How is it going to be? What is it going to look like? So there's a lot of anxiety around that, because if people don't have the right environment at home, if you've got a new role that you're not quite comfortable with, and you've got a new team around you. You're still in that learning phase. So there's a lot of uncertainty that surrounds this. So what advice can you offer people that are struggling right now, that may be feeling particularly stressed or anxious right now?
I think one of the keys is actually speaking that, actually talking about what's going on for you and being able to find that space to share within teams, with your partners. But what's going on? How are you feeling today? You know, at the moment I'm feeling like this, because if you can create that space, and then you can all support each other through those times. So that's one of the keys. And you mentioned about feeling stressed with the unknown of what's going to happen further down the line. I think when we're talking about stress and anxiety, we're talking about the nervous system at play.
Yeah.
And that fight and flight and that rest and response nervous system. So one of the first things that we can do there is, what we've got available to us is getting in touch with our breath. You know, I know I've worked with you on this a few,
Indeed.
a lot of breath being present as a leader and around us, but breath can really help us in these times. You know, taking a breath can be really powerful.
I agree. That's been a big influence on me. I think when you're in that kind of autopilot mode, and you're running at 100 miles an hour, you don't certainly from my point of view, I didn't put an importance on just getting myself centered, allowing myself space to think, to breathe, and to really control that. It was just going through the motions, and that's been a really, really important change that I've certainly made. But also try not to worry too much about the things that are out of your control. Focus on the things that you can control. And that comes back to those lifestyle choices and those lifestyle habits that you talked about earlier, Barry, because that's, again, something that I've learned, that lifestyle has a big impact on your mental health. So when everything's changing around you and lots of things that you can't control, let's focus in on the things that we can. Yeah. Can you give us an idea, a little bit more detail around some of the habits that people can put in place now to support them now, but also to give themselves a good platform, so when we do come out of this lockdown environment?
Yeah, I think you could think about a morning routine, and some structure in your day could be really powerful. Starting your day well. So what would be good for you in the morning to do? So we've heard, movement, some breathing exercises, eating some healthy food at that moment in time, structuring your day about what's going to go on in it. That is unique. All of this is unique to the individual, but I really think a morning routine can set you up well.
I mentioned earlier that organisations and business leaders are really having to think about, what is this going to look like when we re-engage, when we get back into the workplace? What do you think leaders are going to take from this, and what do you think they're going to have to think about when they're leading people back into the workplace?
Yeah, this has been a flashlight for organisations about how you deal with things, shining a real true light on when there is a crisis or when something happens like this. We see some fantastic things happen out there, as we're seeing with communities and with organisations, what they're doing for their people. But we're also seeing the other side to this, is that, a lack of communication, some distrust within organisations. So I think what leaders can take from this is, how have I responded to the situation? How am I responding from the situation? And also, have I got trust and relational strength within our organisations? Because I think at this time, what's really important is coming together, being able to work through whatever comes up as a team, and being able to move agilely around what you may need to do now or in the coming weeks, because it's been very fast changing, hasn't it, from day to day, week to week, at an organisational level as well as a personal level.
Yeah, very much so. And the importance of emotional intelligence in leadership right now is absolutely crucial, isn't it? And it certainly is going to highlight those leaders that are strong in emotional intelligence, and also identify those environments where you don't have strong leadership. I think organisations are going to really consider so many things. How do they structure their business? How are services going to be delivered? What is it going to look like coming back into this? And also, how do you develop skills and future-proof your business? So I think the way people learn, the way people engage, that's all going to change. but none of us have been trained for that. So there's going to have to be a lot more collaboration, a lot more learning, a lot more working together, not just within the business, but actually looking outside and building links with other businesses to actually learn from them as well.
I think those cultures in particular who have a less hierarchical structure and who are those people who are able to self-manage within their organisations. It's been interesting to witness, for those who I work with, the difference between those, because of course those people who are able to make decisions and able to step forward in different areas of an organisation have been able to move quite quickly and be happy to do. Where if it's a lot more of a hierarchical culture, then it needs decisions to be made from that culture, and it can take time and more training to get those people up to speed.
This next stage of coming back is certainly going to benefit those businesses that were that have always embraced innovation. This isn't new territory, that they'd already started making traction, and for those that hadn't, it's going to fast track it. There is no choice now. But yeah, certainly the organisations that had engendered trust and openness and transparency, we've talked a lot about that when we've met, Barry, haven't we, about the importance of having that openness and that transparent approach within leadership. Can you give us a bit more insight into some of the work you're doing and the importance of that, particularly in this kind of environment?
Yeah, I think when we talk in this in the area that I work is about psychological safety. And at this time, what happens when it actually happened was people feel unsafe. We all felt unsafe about, how are we going to be paid, how are we going to live. Our basic needs were challenged. So at that time, it comes to, are we safe within our work? Are we safe within the teams that we're working in? So creating psychological safety and the work that you do towards that, and some of the work that I do with teams around that, is showing up as key at this moment.
And in terms of your sort of final thoughts, if you like, and any words of wisdom that you can offer people that, may be really struggling right now, anything that we can leave them with, and any pointers as well about where they can reach you and what sort of work you're posting out there, where can we point people to right now?
I think the final thought is about just connection, is about at this time, asking people how are they really doing personally and within our teams and organisations. We have a habit here, in the UK, of saying I'm fine, but asking someone how they're really doing can really support people, but also save lives when you come to mental health.
And if people want to reach out to you and find out a little bit more about what you're doing and how to contact you, where can they find you?
Yeah, thanks, Dan. People can contact me through my website, which is barryallard.com, but they can also get in touch with me through Twitter. I'm offering at the moment some coaching sessions through this time. So if anyone needs that support, then they can contact me. And also I'm taking into consideration, of course, the financial restraints that some people are under. So that's a consideration from the work that I'm doing.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Barry. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks for inviting me, Dan. Good to see you.
Enjoy Sweden.
Thank you. Thank you.